Other cruise lines will advertise all their jobs on, I know Virgin Voyages hire via. Hey sailors, welcome back to Cruising as Crew. My name is Lucy and today we're going to be talking about how to apply to cruise ships. But before we start, please press like and subscribe for more cruise ship content. And also, if you have any video suggestions for me, please leave them in the comments down below, or you can DM me over on Instagram at Cruising as Crew and I will definitely get back to you. The number one question that I get is, how do I apply? That completely depends on what job you want to do on board. And that's why I've been doing interviews with people who have different jobs on board cruise ships, because every application process is independent to what job you want. So like me being a shoppy, my application process would have been completely different to someone who wanted to be a receptionist. So how do you apply for cruise ships? Well, the first thing you have to do is figure out what job do you want to do. And I've made a video going through all the jobs that you can do on board a cruise ship and a little bit of information on each job. So what I would like you to do is pause this video, go and watch this video that I have linked up here, and then come back to me once you've watched it. Okay, so now you have watched that video, hopefully you have a better understanding of just how many jobs you can do on board a cruise ship. Like, there is an insane amount of jobs, and especially the bigger the cruise ship, the more jobs that they're going to have. For example, Royal Caribbean Oasis of the Seas, those ships have like a whole Central Park theme, so there's a lot of greenery. So there's a lot of gardeners on board. If you can think of a job, it's probably on a cruise ship. So whatever you want to do, I'm sure there will be some kind of position for you. Now, some cruise lines do offer graduate schemes. So I know like Carnival UK, if you have graduated from university, you have your degree, then you can apply for these graduate schemes. And they're great because it gives you the flexibility to try lots of different departments. So your first contract, you might be put on a ship for a few months as a receptionist. But after that contract, if you're like, that really was not for me, they'll be like, okay, well, maybe we'll try and put you in crew office this time. So you are employed by the company and they will let you try lots of different departments. So a graduate scheme is an amazing way to be able to try lots of different jobs on board. However, they are incredibly competitive and you do have to have gone to uni. Graduate scheme. I didn't go to uni. But the good news is you can bounce around departments even if you haven't gone to university. So you might get a job on board as a housekeeper, and when you're on board as a housekeeper, you might be like, you know what, I really like the look of being a crew sales associate. So cruise sales is where you basically get passengers who are cruising at the moment to book their next cruise while they're still on board. And the good thing is you can train to be a cruise sales associate while you are still a housekeeper. Now obviously it's going to be hard because yes, you'll be working long hours as a cabin steward, but then you have to dedicate a few more hours to training to be a cruise sales associate, but you're employed by the same company. So if you're willing to do the work and do the training while you're on board, you're allowed to like move in different departments. So that example I just gave was my friend Ralph. So he was a cabin steward. He did the training to be a cruise sales associate, and when he finished his contract as a cabin steward, I think he went home for like 3 months and then he came back as a cruise sales associate. So if you go on board a cruise ship and you're like, oh my God, I made the wrong choice, I don't actually want to be youth staff, which is where you look after the kids in the kids club on board, I would much rather be a receptionist or maybe entertainment staff, you can do that. You just need to let your manager know on board and they will facilitate the training for the position that you actually want. So that's the good news, is that whatever job you decide to do, you're not going to be stuck in that position. I started my cruise ship career as a beauty therapist in the spa on board cruise ships, and I decided, actually, you know what, I think I'd really like to work in the shops. And I work in the shops. Now granted, it was a little bit trickier for me because I wasn't employed directly by a cruise line. So it wasn't a case of just like jumping to another department. I actually had to get a job with another company, because when I worked in the spa, I worked for Steiner, who then put me on any cruise line. So I could have gone on Royal, I could have gone on P&O, could have gone on Cunard. And then the company that hires staff for the shops is called Harding Retail. So I then had to quit Steiner and get a job with Harding Retail, and the same thing, they could put me on P&O, Cunard, Carnival, Virgin. So if you get your job with an agency rather than directly with the cruise line, it'll be a little bit trickier to move departments, but it's still doable. If I can do it, you can do it. And also, once you've worked on cruise ships, it's like anything, once you've got your foot in the door, you're in. If you've got experience on a cruise ship, you are more likely to be hired even if it's for a different job on board. Like when I went for my job with Harding Retail, I had never worked in a shop in my life before. But I had worked in sales and I had worked on cruise ships before, which is probably why I got the job. So you can rest easy knowing that if you pick a job and you get on board and you're like, oh no, this is not for me, that's fine. You can change. That should take a little bit of the pressure off when you are deciding what you want to do, because if you don't like it, it's fine. You can change jobs and still work on cruise ships. But however, we still need to decide what we want to do. And obviously, like with most jobs, you are more likely to get the job if you have experience in that role. If you want to work as youth staff in the kids club, you are more likely to get that job if you have worked with kids before. If you want to be a receptionist, you're more likely to get that job if you have worked as a receptionist either in a hotel, at a dentist. So after watching that video of me going through all the jobs, hopefully there was one job that you were like, that sounds interesting. Yeah, I like the sound of that. Now from there, you need to start researching that job on board. Obviously, I've made lots of videos and there's loads of videos on jobs on cruise ships. Let's say you like the look of working in the casino on board. Start researching it so you know exactly what you're getting into. And this is why I have been making the interviews with different people who do different jobs on board cruise ships, because a musician on board is going to have a very different experience to a cabin steward. They're very different jobs, very different hours, different contract lengths, different salaries. So whatever you're kind of like, okay, this is pinging something, I like the sound of this, you need to find out what experience you need. So if you want to work in the casino, you will have had to have worked in a casino on land. If you want to work in the spa on board, you have to have certain qualifications. So the next step is finding out what you need, what experience is required and what qualifications are required. And the best way to do that is actually get in touch with the cruise lines. Email or call Royal Caribbean, Carnival, Carnival US, Virgin Voyages. Like, get in touch with these people and say, hey, I really like the thought of doing this job on board. You can go on the cruise lines websites and look at their job advertisements. Go on LinkedIn, look at their job advertisements. In the job advertisement, it will tell you what you need. So maybe you're not ready to apply yet because you don't have the right experience, but it's like, okay, I know that to do that job, I need to go to college and do this, or I need to work here for a year. And it just gives you a little bit of a sense of direction, because then you have something that you are working towards, which is exactly what I did when I was at college doing my level 3 beauty therapy. There was a lady that came in and was like, hey, you can be a therapist on cruise ships. And ever since then, I think I was like 17, I was like, I want to work on cruise ships. But I didn't start till I was 19 because I was like, well, I haven't got any experience. When I was working in a little salon back home, that was always the goal. Like, I was working towards going on cruise ships. So once you've figured out what you think you would like to do on board and you've figured out what experience you need to get the experience. One thing I do just want to say is I have worked for Steiner in the spa on board, and I now work for Harding Retail in the shops on board. So I get a lot of messages saying, hey Lucy, what do you think I should do? Do you think I should work for Steiner or Harding? Like, which one? Firstly, those are not the only two jobs on board to choose from. I see a lot of you saying, oh, maybe I should work for Harding because you have to work less. That is definitely a pro, and I'm not going to pretend it's not, but I urge you not to make your choice based on time off, because it differs from ship to ship and from manager to manager. So you might think, right, I'm going to work for Harding. I do not like the idea of working in shops, but I'm going to do that because you get loads of time off. But then you might get a ship like the Queen Mary, who goes from Southampton, then has a week at sea, and then is in New York. You don't get any time off. You work an incredible amount of hours, more hours than you would work if you worked for Steiner. It all depends on your itinerary, your manager. Like, I was working for Steiner, and most ships I was working a lot of hours, but I had some managers who were like, just, yeah, leave early, it's fine. So you just never know. So I really want you to make the decision on what job you want to do based on the job, not based on, oh, I'm going to get so much time off to see all the ports. No, because at the end of the day, you are going on a cruise ship to work. Seeing all of these amazing places is definitely a perk, but you're going to be really, really hacked off if you hate the job that you've chosen. You only chose it because you thought you were going to get loads of time off, and actually you're not. Because of the itinerary, because of the ship, because of the manager, there's so many factors. Please do not make this decision based on how much time you get off. So, you've decided what job you want to do, you've got the experience, and now you are ready to apply. But how do you apply? Well, most cruise lines have a careers page on their website. So if you go to royalcaribbean.com, go down to careers, all their jobs will be displayed there and you literally just click apply. Other cruise lines will advertise all their jobs on LinkedIn. I know Virgin Voyages hire via LinkedIn, it rhymes. But then there's other jobs on board like being in the shops, being in the spa, being a musician that require you to go through an agency. So I'm going to say what you don't want me to say. You have to research it. Now, if you go through an agency, chances are you are just going to be put on whatever ship, you know, they can get you on. These agencies tend to work with a lot of different cruise lines. If you want a job where you have to apply directly to the cruise line, that's really nice because you get to choose what company you work for. Do I want to work for Virgin Voyages, Royal Caribbean, Carnival US, Carnival UK, Princess Cruises? Like, there's so many cruise lines. So that's another thing you're going to have to research. The cruise lines, what they stand for, what destinations their ships tend to go to. For example, Viking Cruise Lines have extraordinary itineraries. If you are wanting to work on cruise ships for travel, then you might want a cruise line that tends to go to really exotic places. However, if you want to work on cruise ships for the ship life, then Royal Caribbean might be your choice because their ships are incredible. But you know what? I hate researching. So what I do is I will go on the website, the cruise line's website, the agency's website, whatever, and I will find a number. And I will call someone because I just find it a lot more reassuring and a lot more informative and faster when I can just ask someone the questions that I want answered rather than having to sift through 90 pages of guff to find the answer I want. So Google a number so that you can contact someone and just ask them the questions that you want answered. When it comes to applying, it really is a case of researching because, as I said, every application process is independent to each job on board. But I don't think it's really the application process that people have a problem with. We're all smart people here, we can all Google things. It's more of, I don't know what to do on board. So hopefully you can take some comfort in knowing that whatever you decide to do, you will always have the option to change if you get on board and decide you don't like it. I really hope this video has helped you out and has answered some of your questions. If you still have questions, please leave them in the comments down below or DM me over on Instagram at Cruising as Crew and I will be more than happy to try and answer your questions. This is a really highly asked question, like how to apply for cruise ships, so I would like to know if this video actually answered your question or whether you're like still in the blue. And if you are, please let me know because then I will try and actually answer your question. But anyway, thank you for watching and I hope you have a brilliant day and I will see you in the next video. Bye!